Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. This week I wanted to talk to you guys about the finals that I had to take this semester as an English major. Okay, so first things first, I know no makeup again. I've just been, and it's been like 2 weeks. I've been pretty burnt out from the end of the semester and finals and all of that. So I figured if putting on makeup, if having to put on makeup was going to stop me from filming, I'd rather just film without makeup. So no makeup this week. I know it's a travesty. I don't know how you'll survive it. But I figured if I don't have a full face of makeup on, I will survive it. So I wanted to go through all of the different finals that I took this semester and just tell you what they were. That way, if you're going into an English major or classes like what I'm taking, you'll kind of have an idea of what different professors like to do. I was also considering doing a video going through how I prepared for these finals. I don't think I'm going to do all of that in this video. But if you'd like to see a video about how I prepare for different types of finals, or even just exams in general, let me know because I can film that. I also got a request to do a bookshelf tour, which was like an incredible idea. But I want to actually be able to like go into depth a little bit, which is why I haven't filmed it yet because I have not had the energy for that. Maybe by next week I'll be a little bit more kind of together. So also, if you've left me a comment recently, I've been so behind on that. I promise it's gonna come back. I'm gonna get there. Maybe tomorrow, once I've like edited a video and gotten it up, I'll be like, okay, I've got some like momentum. Every day I tell myself, okay, I'm gonna go through the comments today, and I'll do it. So if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, she hasn't responded to my comment, I promise I'll get to you. I really, really, really promise I will. I try to get to every comment I can. I've had no energy for it recently, and I really do want to like really be answering and giving you guys the attention that I'd like to normally give. Let's start with the first class. I took African American literature, and the final for this class was just a quiz, or an exam, I should say. They were just like quizzes we had throughout the semester. Obviously, a little longer, but this professor, for the quizzes, gave 2 attempts, and would show which answers were incorrect. So, wouldn't tell you what the correct answer was, but that way you could see what you'd gotten wrong, and you were able to kind of say, okay, these are the questions I need to pay a little bit more attention to on the second time around, which I like something like that. I think that that's always really helpful with exams, just because it gives you an opportunity to be like, okay, you know what, and if you're happy with the first attempt and the grade you get, then you don't have to. But if you are willing to and you have the time to give it, it gives you that opportunity. So it was a 35 question exam with a 2-hour time limit and 2 attempts. And it was questions from the readings that we'd done throughout the semester. So, I mean, straight from the readings. Questions like, what happened at the end of this story to this character? And critics have this view on this story. What is that based off of? Which line would support that kind of thing there? So that was my African American literature class. Then we have my creative writing class, which this was an independent study that I did with my script writing professor for previous classes. So this was, I'm the only person in the class. I'm working directly with my professor one-on-one to develop a script. So for this class, the final was just the final draft of my script and updating my series Bible. If you guys want to see more script writing videos, let me know. I've been trying to think about like things I can do, but I haven't decided something that I think would work as a video and how I would do it. But if there's anything specific about script writing in specific you'd like to see, let me know. I haven't found any like light bulb ideas yet, but I can figure something out. So that's what I have for that class, just a final draft of what we've been working on all semester. Then for, what is the name of this class? I think English Romantic Literature. That should be, yeah, I think it's English Romantic Literature. For this class, it was a little bit different. We had two things we had to do. Just the timing of it, I guess, with the class. We had our final paper, which was just the third. We had 3 papers throughout the semester. The last one was due on the same day as the final. I don't know if I'd count that as being part of the final exam because it was due on the same day, but those are both due the same day. We had from 1 to 3:50 to do the final, and the paper was due at 1. So, like, they're separate things, but just for context, that can be something that happens. Luckily, my professor kind of went easy on us on that paper, I guess, knowing that there was that overlap. And it was just 500 words, and we just had to write what our favorite work of the semester was, which, listen, it was a great prompt, but very disrespectful because, like, we did so many great readings this semester, and, like, I was supposed to choose one. I mean, that was difficult, but I just kind of wrote about what was fresh in my mind and what I had an idea about. Then we had the actual final exam. So this was not an asynchronous class. This was it was online, but also with Zoom. So it was online with the Zoom element. So we actually, like, went in for the exam, which basically meant that we were taking it over Zoom from the hours of 1 to 3:50. And basically what it was we had other assignments like this, but this one we were just writing in front of him rather than on our own time. And that was the only tricky thing, is, like, having to write it right then. I work much better if I take breaks between what I'm doing. It helps me, like, kind of recuperate. So this exam, it had 3 different parts. The first part, he gave us 6 quotes, and we had to choose 5 of them and discuss the significance of it to the poet, to the poem, to the time, whatever, just around that kind of stuff. Not just saying what it means, but, like, why it's important. And so he did show us what the exam was before, because he said you can prep as much as you want. You know, you're not necessarily going to, like, come up with how you want to write all this with the time given. So that was the first part, explaining the significance of 5 out of 6 quotes. The second part, we had to look at 4 authors from the semester and discuss the ways that they reflect their rebellion in their art. So choose 2 out of those 4 and discuss, and that was supposed to be about a few hundred words. And then the final part, he gave us 2 different options because he just couldn't choose which question he liked better, so he was like, you guys choose. So the one I did was to talk about the 2 different generations of romantic artists. So there's a first generation and a second generation, and talking about one work. So I had to choose 2 artists from each generation and 1 work from each artist. So that's 4 works total from 4 artists, 2 from each generation, and talk about the way that they use the narrator's voice in their work. And so that was that whole exam. That was probably one of the hardest just physically to do. It wasn't difficult as far as, like, it wasn't hard to figure out what I wanted to do, and, you know, with the time to prep, I was able to prep, but I couldn't prep everything that I wanted to, and so that kind of stuff, like, it was difficult, and it was difficult just the fact of, like, sitting there writing it for that long and taking all of that energy. But that sticks out as what was, like, the most energy draining, I guess. But still, that was a great class, and if I didn't have to write it all in one sitting, I would have enjoyed it much more. It would have been much less energy draining. It was just the circumstances. So you could have something like that, where the final is something that's not necessarily hard, but because you have to sit there and do it right there, that can make it difficult. So that's something to consider. Now my last 2 classes are for my minor, which is Mass Culture and Collective Behavior, which is under the umbrella of sociology. And my first class is social problems. And for this class, we had a project throughout the semester called Fighting for What You Believe In, where we chose a social problem and worked with a group. It was a group project, and developed a paper and a presentation to discuss our social problem. So we did drafts throughout the semester, breaking up the paper into sections, and then we had to put it all together for a 10-page paper at the end, and create a presentation and present to the class on our social problem. So that was, I mean, it was especially helpful that, you know, it had increments throughout the semester, so it didn't feel so overwhelming when we had to pull it all together. My group presented, again, this is another over Zoom class, that went really well, we did good on it. My group talked about ableist language as a social problem, and there was a lot of great stuff with that, and I felt like we were able to kind of work it out nicely. And then on top of that, as like, I guess technically part of the final, we had a peer review of like our group. So reviewing like yourself and your peers in the group, and then just general reflection on the project as a whole, just so she can, improve the project as she goes along. So technically that would be what I would consider our final. That wasn't too bad, especially, as I said, we worked on it throughout the semester, so it was just kind of pulling everything together. And the final class is a bit of a mouthful, Sociological Social Psychology, and this class had the most, what I would consider like traditional final. It was a cumulative exam on the whole semester. I should say too, the final for that first class, the 35 questions, also cumulative. And so it was on the different chapters, and it was 100 questions, no time limit, and it was 1 attempt. You only get 1. So I was nervous about this one. I've had some troubles with some of the quizzes in the past, and I needed to get a certain grade to keep the A in the class, so I was, giving myself a lot of time, and luckily the exam ended up being just what the quizzes were for the semester, so that was great. I didn't overwhelm me, and I was able to really look back at the questions I had gotten wrong on the others that I had struggled with, and really reevaluate and see, okay, well, why did I get this wrong? And let's look at what I can figure out this time. So that was really nice. I enjoyed getting to like look back and say, okay, here's what my thought process was here. And some of the times too, I looked and I'm like, okay, I see why I did that, but it's clearly this. So those are the finals that I had for this semester. If you're curious about these more, you're welcome to ask me any questions in the comment section. I haven't even thought about doing a video like this before, so if you guys find this helpful, let me know, because I can do one. I've got technically 3 more semesters. I've got this summer, the fall, and the spring before I graduate, so I can do these for all of the finals that I have in the future until I graduate. So let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry that I have been a little absent, but I'm hoping I'm building up the momentum again. And let me know if there are any videos you'd like to see on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!